What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports video for Thursday Night Football, and we got a tough one tonight. Just talking about it here before the show, the Patriots and the Rams. Not one of these big total games, but the spread is moving a little bit, which we'll talk about as we go on here. But before we hop into the game, I'm going to bring on my co-host, as always, Mr. Big T. You know, the last couple, your boy's been on top of it. You were like, this and that, and we kind of got on the same path, and it worked out. Tonight, man, I'm going to need your help a little bit because I'm struggling with this one.
Yeah, we had another good one the other night. It ended up being kind of a quarterback captain build with Lamar, but we were on it. I mean, Marquise got us a little house call. We've been sitting good. You were all over 2 in a row, so I think you're going to get dialed in for a third here. Like, I can see it. You're not getting off that easy when you hit 2 in a row. Like, you got to dig deep and get us back in the winner's circle here.
We're going to get there. I know we're going to get there, but I'm just telling you, I need your help on this one, man. It's
Cam Newton slates are never my favorites either.
Oh, I know, and that's why I was fearful coming on here, because I know I need your help, and I know a Cam Newton slate is not a Big T slate, so
New England in general is just hard for me because I don't like any of their guys, so it makes it really hard to especially when they're like playing good, and I don't really like the Rams. It's just, man.
Well, the problem is
to dig deep and get it.
When they're playing good, that's like so bad for fantasy, because when they're playing good, they get leads. Cam Newton runs it. This Harris dude runs it. It's painful for fantasy, and we've seen it. I mean, you look at last week; they absolutely throttled the Chargers. And all their guys did crappy. The week before that, they beat the Cardinals. All their guys were crappy for fantasy. I don't know. We'll talk about it. We'll get into it. But before we do, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe. As we'll go on throughout the show, we have some gear to give away, but we have to hit certain numbers. So in about 10 minutes here, I'm going to see how many people we have. If we can get to that 50% mark in terms of likes, we'll give some gear away. The other thing, we have a promo code Buckets15, and that goes all the way to NBA, which somehow is like right around the corner, like within days, but it's 15% off for life. So you sign up for one of our monthly, weekly plans. You get 15% off every week, every month, as long as you stay on board and do not cancel. We have a promo going with Monkey Knife Fight. If you use Run Pure at checkout, free $50, and we have a Discord channel dedicated solely for Monkey Knife Fight. And I will say, there's been some winners in there, and not to pat myself on the back, your boy here is 2 for 2, and we're gonna do a little segment later on in the show, and I plan on going 3 for 3. I've already checked out a few things on there, and I'm feeling pretty good about that. Anything in regards to those 3 things, and then I got one more thing to add on, Tony.
I'm excited to be on a Monkey Knife show here too, because I haven't been on one of the ones where I've got a part of these winners, and I like winners. I like getting the 6-1. Were they both 3-teamers too?
No, the first one was the three person was 6-1, and then the one I gave for what was that, Tuesday Night Football was just it was a straight 3-1, and it was our boy. I mean, Marquise over and Zeke over. Zeke got there. I mean, it was a weird number for Zeke.
Oh, Uncle T had that one over.
He hopped on board with me because the number was like 12, and
man.
The number was
it out too.
I put that in there too. I said I hate Zeke as a DFS player. Like, I'm going to be really underweight on him, but that number is just, I mean, I don't know. It's too. He has so many outs to get to 12. Okay, if like he scores a touchdown, he's getting to 12. If he gets 4 or 5 catches, which is what ended up happening, the catches got there.
For him not to score and get there, you were on the right side of it.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I'm saying. He had the outs. He's catching balls and stuff. And then the last thing I want to mention, we got something that's going to be coming down here in the next day or two. And I'm going to say it's probably the biggest news we've had since launch. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, we're excited. So some big things. Like always, we're trying to improve the product. We're trying to bring more things to you guys to help us pick winners. And that's what I think we're going to do with this news. I'm super excited for the weekend to roll it out.
Yeah, it's going to start. I mean, you'll hear about it tomorrow. There's going to be something on Saturday and then something big on Sunday, all part of the rollout. Super, super excited. You guys will hear about it for sure. So make sure to, be on the website, be a subscriber, and you'll, if you're a subscriber to our website, I'm telling you, you're going to absolutely love this news. I'm not a good teaser of things, so I don't know, how that came off, but like,
what
I'm
about
just
on
telling.
The bench? Are you any good with teasing?
Oh, I can tease on the bench. I'm not a teaser on the bench. I'm you're
I'm
gonna
the same way. You just dive right in there.
Yeah, you just
to mix it up.
No, we know what we're doing. It's just no need to play around. But yeah, this news is going to be big. Stay tuned tomorrow, Friday, Sunday to catch the news. All right, I think that will do it. We could probably hop into the game here. And there's a few pieces. Let's start with the Rams. I wrote down a few things I wanted to talk about on the Rams side because there's interesting, the Patriots are a tough team for DFS. We just talked about it. If they're winning a ball game, they're going to try to run it. It's just a weird situation. Their defense is actually playing really well. We had done shows early on. It was almost like they're kind of just throwing in the towel, but they've won a few games here, I think, in a row, and they're right back in the mix. So can't really, think they're throwing it in. I know one of the shows, that's kind of what we talked about the whole time. Like they're done. They're going for the number one seed. Well, now, leave it to Belichick to take this crappy team all the way to the playoffs, which looks like it might be the case. But on the Rams side, the first guy I want to talk about is Cam Akers, a guy that you've kind of been on for these single game slates throughout the season, hasn't panned out. Well, now he's kind of, clawed his way to the top of the list at the running backs. Over Brown, over Henderson, he got, I think, around 20 touches last game, which included work in the goal line. I know Henderson did get a little dinged up. There was, I think, maybe a knee injury or whatnot. But, are you banking on this workload from Akers tonight?
Yeah, we were playing him when he was super cheap. He's finally got decent workload lately where, he got 21 carries last week, 5 before that, but 16 and 14 he scored in 3 straight games. The problem is now he's in this range where we've been fading these guys all season for the most part. It's finally come through the last couple for us. Although Zeke, the weird part about the game the other night, we had a lot of good takes, but the problem was everyone ended up scoring like the same amount of points. Zeke and everybody was like in 13 to 15 to 14. So it was just a weird game where maybe the fades weren't as good because everyone scored the same amount of points. So it didn't really matter. But Akers at 8K, I've been on the Akers train. It is really hard to pull that trigger at 8K for me. And I think he's even getting a lot of chatter too on top of it.
Yeah.
Man, I'm not saying I'm not completely against him because I do think Belichick, like we always talk about, likes to take away what the other team wants to do. And I think that's going to be Woods or Kupp rather than Akers. And maybe he just lets Akers kind of dink and dunk their way down the field a little bit. So I'm torn. Like I said, I don't have a great feel about it thus far. But I know for one thing, there's no way you're playing Henderson at 74. And all season long, I Malcolm Brown, I'm just not playing. He's 2,400, so people will play him a little bit maybe, but I'm just not playing him. I don't see how they give him carries over Henderson and Akers, which they might not anymore. Maybe they just don't. But
yeah, the biggest problem with Akers is now he's at that price tag where he's going to probably need a touchdown, and not super active in the passing game. He did have one catch last game for I think 22 yards, but he's not going to be catching a ton of balls out of the backfield. So he's priced now where we probably need him to score a touchdown. But then you kind of start thinking about it's like, okay, there's not many options here. There's not many guys that we can bank on getting double-digit fantasy points. So if he does somehow rush for 100 yards, that might be good enough. So I don't know. I'm very torn on Cam Akers. Maybe as the show goes on, we kind of talk ourselves in or out of it a little bit more. The next piece on the Rams side I thought was interesting is how this Van Jefferson guy has been more involved and kind of has worked his way into a role above Josh Reynolds. Reynolds seemed to be locked into that number 3 spot. He had some big games. He had some big games on showdown slates for us throughout the season. But this Van Jefferson dude has been playing just as much, if not more, than Reynolds. What's your take on that situation?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because these are the two guys we were on in Showdown. Basically, the whole it's just nice when some of the takes we had, they might not have hit at the time, but our two guys early in the season were Akers and Jefferson as like the cheap guys that we loved, that were talented, that they need a bigger role for. And now, I mean, Jefferson is still cheap is the difference. He's 2,600. I think he's a really good play. I mean, he's just one of those guys that gives you upside, that gives you no floor too, though. So you have to know that going in. Yeah. More of a tournament play for sure than a cash play. But I mean, last week 5 targets, 4 for 27. He's just solid. I mean, he's just a good player. They're going to get him more and more involved. And again, back to the Belichick thing. Guys like Jefferson are the guys that can beat Belichick because he's not going to focus on them. He's going to focus on what the strengths of the team are. So I like guys like Jefferson, and the price just fits tonight where I'd much rather pay 2,600 for him over 5,600 for Reynolds. I think they're both kind of in play though, because it goes to the point where same thing that we keep saying to Belichick, where he wants to take away one of these guys.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, to me, Reynolds is more of, I don't know if I can play him. I mean, maybe, but I mean, if he's only going to be on the field for less than 50% of the snaps, it's tough. We'll talk about it more. And then the last thing is the Higbee Everett thing, and it's kind of evolved into basically a split for both of them. I mean, Higbee was always the guy last year playing far ahead of Everett. Now it's close to a split, and they do some double tight end stuff. Last game, Everett 7 targets, 6 catches for 44 yards. How are you handling the tight end situation for the Rams?
Yeah, same type thing where it just depends on who fits as far as the price. I mean, I think they're basically a coin flip. If I had to pick, like with my life on the line and ownership not mattering, I would take Higbee still. But you do get a discount with Everett, and I really think I think if they played like 100 slates, that they would probably outscore each other like 50-50 almost. So It's super close. I'm good with both of them though. And kind of the nice thing about the Rams, if you play Goff, you have a lot of weapons that you can play 2 of them with Goff. Just kind of filter them in and out. Decide who you're going to fade, kind of like what we talked about with Seattle. Like, I have a hard time playing both receivers knowing Belichick is going to try to take away one of them. At 96 and 92, I mean, that's the hard part for me with the Rams is how do we decide between Kupp and Woods? Can you play both of them? I don't think I want to play both of them. What do you think as far as that?
No, I mean, the problem is once you start building, I mean, I've played around and I've built some teams. I mean, the options are just so limited, like on the Patriots side in terms of who you want to play. So, I mean, you start looking at Kupp, you start looking at Woods and their safety. That's what makes it does make it hard. I feel like I can't play both, but they both had good enough games where together where I think they could land on optimals in this situation because of what we're maybe projecting on the Patriot side. It's very tough. I mean, I could see it both ways. I mean, as of now, I'm just kind of looking at this as maybe like a floor type of slate. Like, if Kupp or Wood, if one of them has a big game and gets, 20 fantasy points, the other one gets 12 or 13, that still might be good enough on the slate. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about it wrong, but it's tough. And let's bring Cam Newton into this conversation because that's kind of why it makes it so tough is what the Patriots are doing. And, you have Cam Newton on the Patriot side, who is, the last 2 games, I know a lot of people in our Discord chat have talked about 84, 69 yards. Yes, if they're winning football games, that's going to happen every single time. And last week they smoked the Chargers. The week before that, they were playing from ahead against the Cardinals. And that's what's going to happen. Like, they're not going to pass the ball if they have a lead. Now, tonight, maybe we can project them to be playing from behind, and they will have to pass the ball a little bit more. I don't know. What's your overall take on the situation with Cam and the Patriots? I know he's your nemesis. I'm obviously not a big fan as well. Just break down the Patriots situation for me a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's the super challenging part is God, their guys just are so bad that you almost have to play Cam because of how much he does and the floor, like you said. I mean, if you give him 14 points or something, there's a really good chance he's going to be on the winner. And another thing about tonight's slate is you have so many cheaper guys that don't have floors, by the way, that could get 0 but could get 14 themselves. There's a ton of cheap guys that we can play to where I think that's a better route and just lock in Cam. And then like even on the Patriots side, as we get into it, I mean, I don't understand how they priced the receivers the way they did, where, I mean, Bird is 800 and Harry is 800.
That's the
like
biggest mispricing of the year.
That's why you can't fade Cam though, right? Like there's just too many cheap pieces. Like why are they that cheap? I don't even get it. Like what were they doing?
I don't know. DeMar Bird 800 if you haven't noticed that. I mean $800. I mean we play $800 guys and hope they're on the field essentially. We hope they get out there and they get a couple deep looks. You got an $800 guy that's going to be on the field for almost all the snaps. 800. Harry came back. He scored a touchdown last week. He's 1,800.
1,800, like.
Yeah.
That's hurtful. That's hurtful pricing.
Very hurtful pricing. If these guys knew that, I'm sure they'd be absolutely devastated. And even, I mean, Jacoby Myers is 6.8K.
Which is also too cheap, by the way.
Yeah, he's their number one. But, yeah, I mean, they're all cheap. They're all very cheap. So, for me, like for that reason, like you already basically kind of have to play Cam. Like, I mean, you can't, it's okay. It's just so hard to make a case to fade him in this situation. Yes, he's had some brutal floor games, some really low single-digit fantasy point games.
The scary part, I will say, to piggyback on your floor thing, is this is a tough spot for him too. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if they have a miserable showing tonight. Like,
it's very possible. I mean, it is. But I mean, we're playing a single-game slate where we don't have the options. And for that reason, it's like he's got to be right in there. I mean, to me, like I'm going to continue on with the guys like Harris. I mean, 8.8K. Could you imagine clicking that name?
How the running backs are. I know that people that have watched our shows all year know where we're going with this, but
yeah,
like Damian Harris for 88, he'll probably score twice on us. Like there'll be a pass interference and he'll score, but there's just no possible way I can pay 8,800 for Damian Harris. I refuse to do it. If I don't win, I still don't think it's bad process. I refuse to play Damian Harris at 8,800. And I refuse to play Sony at 4,800. Yeah. The difference with James White, obviously, is if they get down, he's real valuable in the pass game. So I don't think we fade James White by any means because that's kind of the script I think we see. I don't see any way the Patriots just dominate the Rams like they did last week against the Chargers. So if it's a close game or they're losing by a little bit, I think James White, and he's 6,400, which is a fair price for a guy like James White. But Damian Harris and Sony and whoever Jacob Johnson, I'm guessing that's the fullback, is like those guys are super easy fades.
Yeah, I mean, so the James White thing is kind of frustrating because what we saw last year is, in games that are trailing or third down stuff, just so stable, so steady. Hasn't necessarily like been the case. I mean, he's had. I mean, you look at, I guess, I mean, they've been playing from ahead, so I guess that kind of makes it hard. But I guess against Houston, he had 9 targets, 6 catches. Yeah, but I mean, I'm definitely playing him over any other piece of the. I mean, if you're deciding between James White and Jacoby Myers, like who do you prefer between those two?
I like Myers for sure. You said it best too. Like he hasn't been good this year. We keep kind of waiting for it to happen, but yeah. It's week 14 now. And even the 2 games that he had that were good, he still only had 14. Don't get me wrong. If he scored 14 tonight, I would lock him in. But the rest of the games, 3, 2, 6, 5, 1. So he's got his ceiling game of the year was 15. He's got 4 games in double digits, and the rest all busts. Like anything below 10 is a bust. So, I mean, I'm not going to eliminate him. It's not going to be a full fade, but I would rather all those receivers, honestly. I'd probably rather play even Harry and Bird because they at least let you get up to guys like Woods and Kupp the other way.
Yeah, yeah, and then I mean, yeah, that's the problem with White. I mean, even the last game where he did really well, I think it was it Arizona. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns. I mean, James White scoring 2 touchdowns is super rare. 2 touchdowns and only had 14 fantasy points. Like that's crazy to me. Yeah, I'm still I mean, I'll have him in
I
probably
mean,
my
we take stands on here. I'm good with fading him. Let's just fade him. Let's be
yeah.
good.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like
Get him
what's it
out
going to
there.
take? Okay, assuming he doesn't score a touchdown, I mean, how many times does he hit value? In this spot, probably not many. Like, and by value, I'm saying like 10 fantasy points. You
Yeah.
know,
I
it's
mean,
not.
yeah. I mean, I think we need even more. Like even 10 might not be enough. I mean, 10.
Yeah,
If he doesn't score, he's going to have a very hard time getting there, I think.
and he's not a touchdown guy, so yeah, I don't. Like I'm
And they
good.
got a
Like,
bunch of guys healthy. I mean, they got
yeah,
the other running backs healthy. So
yeah. I just don't think. I mean, clearly he doesn't have the connection with Cam that he had with Tom Brady, which obviously makes sense, which makes complete sense. Now that we talked about the Patriots side and the issues with the Patriots side, let's circle back and now talk about Goff, Cup, Woods, those three specifically. 3 of the highest projected guys on the slate in terms of fantasy points. But there's always that thing lingering in the back of your head when someone's playing the Patriots. Who the hell are they going to try to take away? More likely than not, it's going to be one of these two guys. It's going to be Cup. It's going to be Woods. Who is it? I don't know. I kind of think they're more equipped to stop a guy like Robert Woods. Apparently, Cup's a guy that works out of the slot a lot. Their slot corner dude, not all that good. It's kind of been a vulnerability of theirs all season. So for me, I think it's kind of Woods that gets taken away. Not saying I'm fading him. I don't think you could really make the case to full fade either of these guys the way they set up for DK scoring. I mean, they set up perfectly for DK scoring with, all the, when they're on, they're going to get double digit targets and come close to, 8 or 9 catches. I'm not endorsing fading either, but I lean Cup over Woods. What about you?
I agree with you, and I'm super worried about both. Just full disclosure, how my showdown mind works. I'm super worried about both of them, honestly. And I wish there was a different stud slate where we could play. I mean, just pretend like there was a really good guy on New England with Cam, and we could play 2 of them because. Yeah. I would love a case where I could fade Woods and Cup, but it's really not feasible with the way pricing is set up. I mean, I still have nightmares from that Super Bowl a few years ago. I know they're not the same teams, but Belichick out-schemed this team. Yes. They couldn't move the ball an inch. Like they literally couldn't get a first down. I'm still terrified that he has them figured out a little bit, and he's just going to shut these guys down. And it could be a slate where you get different. And I mean, no one is fading both of those guys.
Mm-mm.
But to your original question, I would definitely play Cup over Woods because the matchup just feels a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I think they could slow Woods down. But that being said, I mean, you just never know with situations like this. Belichick could shift the matchup and do something different. So I don't think I would full fade either one. But I'm going to throw it out there that I'm super tempted to fade both of these guys if possible. Like you could play Cam and Goff. You could play. There's tons of other guys for the Rams you can play. Mm-hmm. Akers, Reynolds, both tight ends. There's a lot of weapons they have that you can get a little creative and fade both of them because, I mean, how much of the field do you think fades both of them? Less than 5%?
Oh, it's going to be a very low number. I mean, it has to be, very single digits for sure. I mean,
and it's hard though, like you said, though, the floors. I mean, their floors are huge. Their floors are double digits for sure. Yeah. I mean, what's the worst game they've had?
They're just like 5 and 50 guy. Like if you're going to tell me like what's the worst case scenario for these guys, play 5 catches, like 50 yards, realistic. I mean, obviously they can go lower than that, but like a realistic floor where you eliminate the outliers. I mean, they're just so steady. I mean, Robert Woods, 11, 12, 15 targets in his last 3 games. I mean, that's 38 targets in 3 games, 10 catches, 7 catches, 12 catches. Those are big boy numbers, real big boy numbers. And then Cooper Kupp kind of has, something a little bit similar. 9, did have a 5 target game, but 13, 7. I mean, Woods is a guy that's been playing a lot better. And, for me, that makes me like Cup, over him. But yeah, I mean, fading both these guys is going to be very. I mean, what sort of team do you get? I mean, if you play one of the quarterbacks, in captain, Cam.
Yeah, I'm curious if I punt these,
you're left with 57. If you put Goff, let's say Goff captain, then Newton, you got 5,700. So I mean, you have routes, and you can still come close to even filling the salary going that route.
Let's see what the optimal would be. Just fading those two, just to see.
Yeah.
The hard part is I don't think they can both bust. It is kind of the hard part where maybe you just set the rule where you never have more than one. But I don't know. I don't feel good. I'll just say that. Like, I don't feel great about them. I'm not saying to fade them or whatever. I just don't. I don't know. I don't feel great about it. I don't feel great about the Rams side in general. But at least I feel good about like Higbee and Everett and Van Jefferson. I know they're way cheaper, but I at least feel decent about them. I want to see what these teams are going to say. Yeah, so I mean, already, like we say on every show, I got to set that rule for – because if you play Goff and the captain, like, you just have to have pass catchers with them. So let's fix that rule, and then let's do the same thing.
And another thing I'll mention real quick, the kickers. I mean, the kickers are, we always like the kickers, 3,800, 4K, Gay's 3,800, Folk is 4K, both listed as questionable. They're both going to play. Gay, I think, has a shoulder injury, and for some reason, Nick Folk is questionable every single game going into it. Remember, when was that, a few weeks ago when he wasn't on the field or something, and the punter was taking?
That was weird.
That was so weird. But he's played every. Yeah, it was bizarre. So everyone was panicking, getting off of him, but he still ended up playing. Just a weird situation.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't understand. Then he looked like fine when he was kicking in the game too.
Yeah,
kicking a 50-yarder and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a Patriots thing. They continue to list him as questionable. It's kind of annoying. Although, actually, the one thing I don't like in this game, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is either defense, Rams or Patriots. Yes, they're both good defenses, but the problem is what the offenses want to do, and it's just low-risk offenses. Like Cam Newton not taking a ton of shots. It's just, yes, he's wildly inaccurate. And, you've pointed that out for many years, but like, it's just low risk stuff on both sides. Like the Rams offense, they don't take a ton of shots. It's, smaller stuff to Cooper Kupp and Woods. I'm off the defenses. Maybe you're on them.
I mean, I think they're going to be popular too, is the nice thing, because it's a low total. It's kind of ugly. Like, it just feels like a defensive game, but I agree with you. Like, they get rid of it. Cam's going to run. It doesn't he doesn't necessarily, like, sure, he does. Don't get me wrong too. He throws some bad balls that could be picked here and there. Yeah. But I mean, it's hard because I do think they're going to be popular, but I agree with you. I mean,
it's just the offenses don't take the shots, and like, I don't know. To me, I think the defenses are bad plays in the spot. Actually, if I was playing either defense, I'd probably play the Patriots over the Rams.
I like the Patriots D for sure more, just because of that scheme. They got that scheme going there. Yeah, I'm worried about it. And they're rolling. They're starting to get hot a little bit too. They pounded the Chargers.
And the one thing I did kind of touch on at the beginning, the spread continues to move in the Patriots' favor. It was 6, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm seriously worried about it for the Rams. I can't get that Super Bowl. I know it probably doesn't matter. It was 2 years ago or whatever it was, and it probably doesn't matter, but I can't get that image out of my mind that they literally couldn't move the ball at all. Yeah. And they got a lot of the same people, so.
Yeah, it did open at 6, right, the spread?
Yeah, I mean, it was 6, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's moved to 1.5.
Yeah, because I had when I put those teasers in for the Monday game, I had the Rams were. I think I got it when it was 5.5 because it was 11.5. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I kind of like the Patriots, as scary as that is to say.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm betting this game, I would. I thought at 6 they were really good value. I still kind of like the Patriots, even with the 4.5. I mean, it's off the. DK has it off the board right now for some reason. I kind of like the Patriots in this spot, to be honest. Those teams pull up.
Yeah, but before I get to them, though, we got to talk about we're getting ratioed here on the YouTube.
Yeah.
Pre-show, 288 watching, 75 likes. We always got to get to that halfway number. I want to give some gear out too in honor of our big announcement this weekend. We got to get some gear today, but we can't be getting ratioed to give this gear out. I mean, we got to be – so I mean, we're almost to 300, so we got to get to 150 likes.
150.
I mean, yeah, to give out – we'll give out a shirt and a hat if we get to 150. But hit that like button. We got some big news coming this weekend. Definitely get aboard. We're gonna pick a lot of winners. But these teams, I mean, so it's interesting. I like the team a lot. If you think somehow those two receivers can bust, you got Goff with two good pass catchers, Cam with two good pass catchers, and you're leaving $5K on the table, which to me, this is a tournament build that could ship you a solo first place, which is what we want on these shows when we're talking about tournaments. We're not talking about cash. Hoop gives those plays in the playbook where we could play a different type of build in that. You're never fading those receivers in a cash type build or even a smaller field tournament.
Time out. I didn't mean to cut you off, but we got to address this comment in the chat.
What'd they say?
What's the big announcement? Mangone having a baby?
Oh,
West Coast gem. I don't know if you've read the books, The Birds and the Bees, but in order to have a baby, you got to get some WB sessions in there, and I don't know if our boy's getting in there. Nice, good guy, good content provider, but he's not having a baby. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, that is good. Having a baby. Oh. Yeah, I mean, that's got to be down there on the list of big announcements we'd have. I mean, he's got to get some more time in that area. He's got to work his way up the totem pole.
All right.
Our Run Pure rankings of workbench pipe fitting time, he would not be near even the middle range. He'd be down in the bottom sector. Philip Dang said, "Man, going 0 WB season."
Yeah, okay, so that's what I was thinking. West Coast, yeah, adoption. Yeah, I mean that would be big news if he is adopted. Way more realistic. I'll tell you that much. Like way more realistic than a natural, genetically tied human being.
We got to get Philip Dang some gear. I mean, Philip Dang, you got to send us Mangone 0 WB seasons. That deserves a shirt. We gotta get you one.
Send your info. You'll be the first winner. But you gotta, we're giving you the gear before we get to 150. So Tony and I are gonna carry on here. So you gotta get the people in this chat to hit that like button. And if you get it to 150, then you get the gear, and we'll give out a hat as well on top of it. So get to work. What's our guy's name here? Oh yeah, Philip Dang. Get to work in there, bud.
But yeah, I mean, I think we covered DK pretty good. I like these teams. I do. If you can somehow get around, again, we talk about it all year on the show, but if you're playing this tonight, it's $15 on DK. It's a milli maker too, right? I think it is a milli maker.
Yeah, full milli.
So that gives even more credence for what I'm saying, because it is a massive field. It's half the prize pool to first place, I'm pretty sure. 2.2, 1 million to first. You're playing to win this thing in this tournament. In a smaller field thing, like if you're in the 180 is a decent amount smaller, and some of those maybe you don't do it. But in the milli maker, where you're putting $15 or $30 into it, one or two teams having fun tonight, which you should be doing, like we always talk about. I think this is a good strategy. Like this next team, you got Goff, Higbee, Reynolds, Akers, and then Cam and Bird. I like these teams in a milli maker format. You got all good players. This is what we say every show. As long as you can look at your team, tell a story, and have all guys that can get you there, I think it's a good team, even if you have to make a few tough fades. So
don't stress about the stuff tonight as much if you're doing some of this weird stuff, because more times than not, this is going to be a low scoring slate in terms of fantasy points. Yes, there's the world does exist where this somehow turns into a shootout. Not very free. I mean, this is a tough one to kind of project that, but it could happen.
In the path where this game goes crazy,
it would have to be. Yeah, gosh, you're right.
I don't even see a path for it.
The path would have to be.
If this game was in the 30s, I would be absolutely stunned.
The only path potentially would be the Rams getting it. The Rams would definitely need to be playing from behind and just unable to run the ball at all.
Yeah.
And they would have to continue to pass. and the Patriots would have to be aggressive. Yeah, you're right, man. It is a tough one, and I think there was
in the 20s. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, and there was I think someone in our Discord had posted that every Rams home game so far this year has gone under. I thought that was an interesting.
These teams just play that kind of pace where it's like it just doesn't feel like there can be that many points. Even if they march, it's still long drives. It's not quick plays. Cam Newton's never gonna like just go crazy airing it out.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to bet the under. I think the problem is the under looks like the obvious side too, so it makes it a little tougher.
Yeah, it's making the case for a shootout here is it is tough when you really start looking at it. I don't know. I mean, that's the only thing. That's the only way I could see it shooting out. If the Rams have like a 2-touchdown lead and they still are not able to pick up yards on the ground and they stay aggressive and then Cam can't run it and they can't run with Harris. And so what's your official final take on Cam Akers? Because that's the guy I can't figure out on DK.
Yeah, I'm going to leave him in there because I just don't. Like I said, I don't want to play the two receivers together for sure. Even if I play one of them, I don't want both of them. So if I don't play both of them, I pretty much need Akers almost. So I don't love him, but I do think he's got a decent enough floor as long as he gets the work, which I think he's kind of got into that workload. So consider me on Akers, I guess, reluctantly. Yeah. So the dude in chat says, Ryan Wigner says, how do you play the pass game when Cam completed 21 passes? They won 45-0 last week or whatever it was. So he's never going to pass. If they're up 45-0 tonight, he's not going to pass again. So
it's the same. They're playing from behind with the Cardinals, or playing ahead with the Cardinals. Like they didn't have to force it. Like they had a lead. Any game that they have the lead, that is going to be the case. Like he's going to be under 150 yards every single time when they're playing with a decent lead. You kind of have to project that they're not necessarily playing. Okay, they didn't have a huge lead against Arizona. They're up a touchdown in the third quarter. But if they have a lead, they're doing that. So it doesn't matter how big the lead is. If they're up by 3, if they're up by 7, they're up by 10, they're up by 30. Like they're going to play that way.
Dude in chat said Mangone is the one dislike.
Yeah, it's very possible. It's definitely very possible. Speaking of likes and dislikes, please hit that like button. We're gonna hop over and talk about FanDuel.
We're working our way up. We're trying to get there. We're climbing up to the 150 mark.
Mr. Dang, you got to put in more work, son. I mean, we're trying to give you this gear, but we got to get them likes. Subscribe. We just got over 1,000. We're gonna be working to get to 4,000. Need to get those up as well. And then we have that Buckets 15 program. NBA is right around the corner. Believe we're going to have some preseason content as well. And the preseason, that's a real grind. And if you're on top of it, there's a big edge. We're going to have preseason content as well. So Buckets 15 locks you in for 15% discount, not just for your first payment, but for your lifetime at RPS. So head on over and check us out. Over on FanDuel, let's see what we got here. I mean, it's more of the same. You got Cam at 16, Goff at 15, 5, Woods and Cup. The pricing structure is pretty damn similar to what we have over on DK. You got Woods, you have Cup, you have Akers up there. Damian Harris is at 12K. I don't know. I mean, we're going to talk about FanDuel, but I mean, what really changes on FanDuel when we're building teams? I mean, is there anything for me? I'm going to kind of have the same approach. Some slates, we have a different mindset, a different approach on FanDuel versus DK. To me, I'm going to have a pretty similar approach.
Yeah, I agree. And the only slight difference for sure is like the PPR guys, where I do think our formula of
it applies better. It applies better on FanDuel than it does on DK.
A lot better too. Like it's honestly makes me think. That's why I like doing these shows too, because it makes me maybe I have a natural hedge where I use that plan on FanDuel and not DK, because DK, obviously they have floors. It's tougher for them both not to hit it. FanDuel, though, if neither one of them scores, they're going to need a lot of volume to where the plan does work better, especially when you look at the pricing and see that they're 13.5 and 13K. And these other guys are just cheap. One guy we didn't talk about, too, that I wanted to talk about because he's a showdown type guy is this Gunner dude. Because last week he housed one.
Yep.
And so what was this? So he ended up with 16 fantasy points too. He had 1 for 38 in the touchdown. So they did count for some reason I thought they called back the special teams touchdown.
No, he took it to the house.
This is yet another guy though that we talked up on a few of those showdowns that didn't come through that is starting to make his way in that direction.
Yep.
Like no one is going to play this guy. And granted, he has a 0 floor, but like say he had the 16-point game tonight, that gets you all the way to the winner's circle. Like,
he gets 16 tonight. Yeah, he gets you 16 tonight. You're definitely shipping. And he returns kicks too. I mean, that's kind of underrated when you're talking about defenses. And we said we kind of like the Patriots a little more than the Rams. Double dip situation here. On DK, just on DK. Obviously, can't play the defenses on FanDuel, but on DK, Patriots defense with that dude makes sense. And then just to talk about the Woods Cup situation, right, these are guys that are dependent. Their fantasy production is dependent on a lot of receptions and a lot of targets. So on DK, if Cup goes out and gets you 7 catches for 70 yards, you got 14, 15 points. Feeling good, and that has a good chance to be up there. On FanDuel, he does the same thing. You're talking about 10 and a half points, and that's not as likely to get you there. So there's these guys are just the perfect guys to use the example of the difference in scoring and how you can apply it to your lineups. Like 7 for 70 something on DK. Yeah, they're probably going to be in the winner, especially on a slate like tonight. On FanDuel, probably not, right?
I mean, I think you said it perfectly. I'd almost be willing to bet in a game that we think's low scoring. 7 for 70 has a very good chance to be in the winner on DK, and I would say probably not in the winner on FanDuel because you got one less spot too, which those like mediocre games that might get you there on DK aren't going to get you there on FanDuel because if someone scores a touchdown, they're more than likely going to beat the 7 for 70 showing unless they're like AP where they get friggin' 3 carries for 3 touchdowns or something crazy where they just these guys that just fall into the end zone on us. But I don't know. Yeah, I think it's definitely, and I like the running backs slightly more on FanDuel just because of the touchdown side where if Damian Harris gets a touchdown, he's probably going to be on the winner. It's just in a low scoring game. I'm definitely not playing Henderson though. I mean, I can't do it. You said he's even a little banged up. Akers has taken over the role. I just can't physically click that button in 11K. But Akers and Damian Harris, even James White, I think you can play those 3 a little bit more. So the chat's talking about Bird too, how it's equally egregious on FanDuel. This is where you take the tournament concepts though. Like he's going to be mega chalk on DK and no one's going to play him on FanDuel. Yeah. So I like him just as much on FanDuel. He's still got a decent projection. If he scores a touchdown, he's projected 15% owned on FanDuel. That's nothing in a game like this. So I don't think that's a crazy price, 10K.
Not in this game. I mean, you're talking about a game where it's not going to take much to probably get your guys, in the winning lineup. And he's going to be unowned on FanDuel. I mean, even that 15, that could potentially be high. You have one. Yeah, and you have the one less roster. So I don't know. I think he's got to be an elite tournament option because people that are playing on both sites, it's just going to be, okay, I'm all in on Bird on DK. He's way more expensive on FanDuel. I'll just be off him. I mean, it's human nature. That's how people build their lineups.
You don't want to be all in on Bird, so people aren't going to do it. Like,
no. Matt Gay been a solid kicker, and he's only 8K on FanDuel. Obviously, kickers less valuable on FanDuel. They're priced up a little bit, but at 8K.
A low scoring game though. If they pop up 50 yarders, I mean, you're in good shape.
Yeah, I mean at 8K, I mean if he, you start looking at the guys around him. If he gets 8, 9, he has a good chance to be on the winner. So, and that's very realistic. He's been solid so far. I mean, he's missed 1 kick in 3 weeks. I mean, 10, 10, and 8. We don't like to look at game logs all that often, but I actually do for kickers because I want to see if the teams are willing to kick field goals. And McVay, surprisingly, he's supposed to be this big, sharp, smart coach. Like he'll kick at the half-yard line. He'll take the field goal. So even more reason to be on Gay. Harry at 8K, I think he's in play. My favorite guys, though, man, coming down here, Higbee and Everett, 8K, 7,500. You talked about that route on DK. I like it even more on FanDuel. These are touchdown guys, and 7,500, 8K. I love both these dudes.
I'm a sucker for these guys too because they're just good. And it's a lot of these guys tonight that I like that we're going to have in the player pool are zero floor guys. Like they don't have big floors at all, which is the opposite of Cup and Woods. So it's kind of a nice slate as far as that, because in tournaments, which if you're putting 20 teams in or 10 teams or whatever, you're going to play different guys anyways. So it doesn't hurt you. It's a lot harder with one team. Like a lot of these showdown tournaments, I don't think you should be playing just one team. At least play 2 or 3 to where like you're not all in on Gerald Everett or something. Yeah. Maybe you got him on 1 or 2 of the 3 teams. But it's a better format to take some stabs on a few of these guys.
Yeah. Go down a little bit further. Our Van Jefferson dude is 6.5K, which I think is a very nice price tag.
I love him.
Yeah, he's been getting, I mean, not only work, but man, he's gotten some red zone looks too, which is very important. I'm not seeing anything lower than Van Jefferson. Anything, I mean, literally, I don't even think these dudes like play.
No, yeah. I mean, just Gunner and Van Jefferson down in the cheap range. We got enough cheap dudes anyways with, I mean, even Izzo is definitely an option for that side, and Everett and Higbee. You got a bunch of cheap guys, the kickers. Tons of cheap ways you can go for sure. You got to get me these monkey knife winners, though, because that's all I can think about is who these winners are going to be.
Well, it's crazy. We did the Print Factory show where we did our sports bets for the last 2 or 3 years, and I hit 70% on the sports bets. Your boy's on fire to start with his monkey knife fight picks. 2 for 2, 100%. I'm going to try to keep it. I'm going to try to keep that 100% win rate going tonight. We're definitely going to talk about that in a few, but before we do that, hit the like button, hit the subscribe. If you want to follow along with our monkey knife fight picks tonight, go on there, deposit. They do a $50 match if you use the promo code RUNPEER at sign out. The code is RUNPEER. Let's lock in some of these winners. I mean, honestly, I've not.
Real quick before we cycle over, someone in the chat said Gay is out. Practice squad kicker called up. If that's true, then we like the other kicker too. Like kickers to me are always going to be the same. I haven't seen that news, but if it's true, which I'm assuming it is, just play whoever the other kicker is.
I didn't see that come across.
It's one of the dudes that's always in there, so I'm assuming it's good. But if it's not, I mean, the point being is I'll like the other kicker too if he's in.
Yeah, I mean, they're irreplaceable. I mean, or they are replaceable. You can just jam the other dude in for sure.
Who is it?
I'm not seeing that though. I'm not seeing that. Maybe someone else could verify.
Didn't let us down, but
that's important. That's important info.
We'll circle back in a minute while we're doing the monkey knife if something popped up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said saw it on Twitter. Other kicker isn't in the player pool. That sucks then.
No, don't tell me that.
Yeah.
If that's true, I'm devastated, to be honest with you.
we like those kickers. So I don't see anything on Twitter, but I mean, Fred Van Riper's always in there, so I'm assuming it's good. But let's look at these monkey knives, and we'll see if we can
I see one thing that it says, McGannis likely to kick for LA instead of Gay. That's the only thing I'm seeing, but that's a semi-credible source. Huh.
We'll get more info on the inactives because if he's out, if someone just posted it in chat too, elevated from the practice squad. So they're not going to keep 2 kickers active. So he's going to be out 90 minutes prior. We'll know for sure. And if the other dude isn't, so now someone said he's there. Is the dude in there?
He's not on DK. He's on FanDuel.
He's on FanDuel? Nice.
FanDuel, he's 8K, not in the player pool on
This is always the case to me, too, with DK. Like, once he gets called up, immediately DK should put him in there at the same price.
That's disappointing. That's very disappointing.
Very hurtful.
Very hurtful. It takes one of our dudes away. We like our kickers, man.
Especially tonight, we like our kickers.
Yeah,
real nice tonight.
Damn. That's painful, but we'll move on, man. We'll make the best of it. All right, we got this monkey knife fight up.
Yeah, I mean, I just started with the 2v2. So if you haven't checked out the site, like there's so many different options that you can do with it that makes it a ton of fun. I mean, just starting with the two of them, you get 3.5x just for hitting two. And you want to talk about a pathetic quarterback. Cam's passing total 167.5. That is borderline just pathetic. I mean, and I like the under too is the funny thing, but
I think the number, let's see, hang on. I just wanted, sometimes I like to compare versus the props. Yeah, it's pretty actually, you know what? It's 13 yards lower than what DK has, but the DK juice is on the under. I mean, not that it really matters all that much. These are the ones that I don't really feel comfortable with. Like
which ones are we getting in here? Like, where's
I like the fantasy point ones better, to be honest with you.
Fantasy.
Or this next one. Okay, the next one is interesting. If you go to that rapid fire, the 2x2, they're giving you 98.5 yards. Cam Newton plus 98 yards versus Goff.
Yeah.
I'd be inclined to take, like, if you think the Rams have the lead in this game, I think you have to play the plus 98, but then they have Akers versus Harris, which I don't know. That's kind of like a toss up, right?
Yeah. This is the real tough one, Akers and Harris, because I guess it kind of depends on who you think's winning. Like, if it correlates, like you would take Goff with Harris maybe if you think New England's winning, or Cam with Akers if you think the Rams are winning, and just correlate it, because obviously Cam's going to be passing more. If they're winning, you would think technically Akers would be running more, but I don't see anything too crazy sticking out there with those.
Yeah.
Now, what's their totals on there? Their rushing totals as far as
it is within a few. It's let me see.
I definitely like Akers slightly more than Harris, but
Akers, same here. Akers 52, Harris 48.5. So I mean, it's just spot on. Now the one I really liked is now off the board. It was before the show. Maybe you liked the other side. So if you go to the more or less fantasy points, the next one. Before he came on the show, they had Cooper Kupp at 14.5, and I thought 14.5 was too low. Especially like we both kind of feel like Woods could be the guy that gets the extra attention. At 14.5, I thought too. I still think 15.5, yeah, kind of low. I mean, I'd probably put him more like
PPR on here, right?
Yeah, it's full PPR. So I mean, I still kind of like the over a little bit. I mean, and then Myers, I mean, we both kind of like Myers. 10.5 is a low number. I mean, that's a low number. So I like.
We didn't talk about this when we were talking about the showdown part, but who do we think the Rams try to? Do we think do they shadow Myers? Do we think
with what's the corner? Why can't I think of the cornerback's name?
The stud.
Rams. Yeah,
Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey.
Because he's like a straight blanket. Like,
yeah, it's tough going, especially with Cam throwing the rock.
I mean, like if they want to just totally shut down someone, like there's no way they're going to get open.
Yeah. So I guess probably a little bit of risk. They might just
put them on one side or something, though, knowing tonight, just whoever comes over here, that's who I'm getting.
Yeah. So prior to the show, I love this one, and they changed it on us, unfortunately. But I did post in our Discord.
Knew you were coming. They knew the show was coming.
I did play it. I did put it in. I put it in. So it was Cooper Kupp at 14.5. So I took the over. Then the other guy, it wasn't Myers. It was Damian Harris at 10.5, and I took the under. I thought that was a really good one. I posted that in Discord. I don't like this one as much. Okay, so they got Damian Harris on the next one. So they moved him over a little bit. So
and Woods is the same 15.5.
Yeah, Woods right at 15.5. Damian Harris at 10.5.
Shadow though, like we talked about the matchup. Yeah. So I mean, I don't hate the under on that, but
yes, I'd probably, if I'm picking this one, I'm going to go under Woods and under on Harris.
15.5 is a lot of points if you don't get a touchdown and you're in a tough spot.
Yes. No, it's definitely difficult.
Let's see what else do we got up here? Goff 17.5, Cam 17.5. What do you think about this one?
That's a tough one for me, just because if you ask me like where they're going to be at the end of the night,
right around 7,
right in that range, and I hate those. Like I don't know, and that's one thing. If you're playing on the site, like, don't force it. Like, don't think you have to like pick all this stuff. Like, pick the ones that you feel good about. Like something like this, I'd have no lean like at all. Like you
don't
don't
want
either,
the
right?
coin flip ones.
Yeah. No, you definitely don't want the coin flip ones.
I always like obviously because I'm the tournament guy. I get suckered in for the 5 and 6x. Let's just look at the 20x. Like this game's hard for me though, honestly. Like 265. Usually when these 5 ones that I used to do that I just loved, I would really like 3 of them, and then you gamble on 2 of them, basically getting 20 to 1. These are hard though. Like both of these I don't love. Cup 68.5 feels low, even though I don't love Cup. Like I would probably take over. Woods 5.5. I mean, nothing sticks out to me, but
yeah.
I mean, we got to find something that looks real tasty though. Man, I don't know. It's a tough game for the prop.
It's a tough game. I mean, it really is a tough game. I mean, we'll continue to cover these. We'll do a quick glance at these on the shows.
For me, the funnest games of these is when we have a nice high scoring game where you can have some guys that you like and take some stands. It's hard in these low scoring. What about
I mean, the guys I will say, if you have one of these games where you got the Cam plus around 100 yards, like 100 yards is a big number. Yes, Cam Newton, if they have the lead, like he'll probably get smoked, but quarterback plus 100 yards, like I would take those if you have strong leans with like the other options. And then like the Cooper Cup overs, I still think are pretty good.
Yeah. I was checking out this college hoops to see if we could find a college hoops here that I was going to pull up.
You pulling up a game?
Yeah, well, it gives us this Arizona State game that's at 10 o'clock tonight. So I was trying to pull up our boy Steve over on Run Pure, pull up his playbook today, check it out. I was going to look at the projections super quick here just to see
if anything stands out.
Like this one is 4 for 4. You get 7 to 1 odds. And it's fantasy point. I agree with you. Like I like the fantasy points ones. Super simple, and we can just kind of look at the projections. Let me see if we got this.
That's the stuff we know. I mean, we know the fantasy point stuff, pretty well. So
and it's just a simple thing. Like, okay, so here we go. We do have the projections up on the site, which the college basketball product we have has been doing really good so far. Yeah. Thanks to Steve leading that up. But so on our projections right now, we got Remy Martin for 32. So that would be more right there. That's a decent amount more.
I'm clicking it. Yeah. Anytime if you have projections that you trust, like there's a lot of, projections out there. If you have something you trust and you see a big discrepancy, I'm not talking half a point, 1 point. That's, what do you say, 32?
Yeah, I mean 31.9. So
that's a big boy difference. All right, you got anything else?
I got excited the first two because we had a difference. Matt Mitchell was projected for 28, so a decent amount. But then the next two are basically right alongside it, so you have to have a strong take. I do know from playing so far this year every day, though, I like Josh Christopher a ton, so I could even go over there. And the good thing about correlations with these.
Whoa, hang on. Was it Remy Martin and Mitchell that you like the overs on?
Yeah.
Go to the 2v2, the two. You got to get 2 out of 2. They're both in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where's that? So I go to this one.
Yeah, it's the third tab at the top.
There we are. That's our winner then.
Let's go. Oh, you can only put 20 on it? Come on, Monkey Knife Fight.
Is that all it lets us do? Is it 20?
Come on, Monkey Knife Fight.
Oh, they knew we were coming.
Damn, I'm in. I'll tell you that much. I'm in, but
I do like that 2v2, and we get 2.5 times our money too.
Yeah, that's nice.
I like that a lot.
I like that one for sure. Yeah,
Monkey
if you have
Knives, they might already have you limited after those W's.
Oh man, but yeah, something like that. That's definitely the way to do it. What, you like that Josh Christopher too?
I mean, I like him. That's a decent, like he's 6,500 on DraftKings, so he's priced in that range where you need like 24, 25. Yeah. I don't love that one, but I do like him as a player. Like he's a freshman, he's a stud. I don't want to say I like the 2-1.
He's in there on the 3. You can if you go to the 3, it's Martin, Mitchell, and Christopher.
So I mean, I don't hate that just because you get 3 times. I mean, that's hard though. So this is where I like to talk through them. Like we can get 2.5x for the 2, and we only get another 0.5x for adding a whole other dude.
Yeah, that's not good.
Like we're adding a whole dude.
Yeah, and that's stuff you need to be looking at too, because that's a big difference. Like to add in a third, like
how do you not get? It should be like parlay odds almost. Like
that's what I was gonna say.
2.5 is good for 2, but like when you get 3 in there, it's got to go to at least 4-1 or something.
Yeah. Hey, before we got a few more minutes and we need 11 more likes to give out another piece of gear. So hit that like button before we get on out of here. A few more minutes. We're going to talk about this monkey knife fight.
This is just fun though, looking at it, like especially because college, like, so tonight it's kind of a slow night. Say you're watching the football, but you want to sweat for the hoops too. Come on, the monkey knife and just check. There's nothing. Put $20 on it, and you got a nice little sweat to cover your Millie Maker tickets in the DK. It's just it's kind of similar to the DFS, but at the same time gives you a different sweat with it. And I like what else they got up here.
Yeah, I mean it's something different. It's like it's something that's always like, okay, you know what you need for like DFS and everything. Like you're watching, you know what you need. Like then it's like at the end of the night, it's like, oh, I can check out monkey knife fight. See how I did over there as well. I like that college football, man. Steve Boynton crushes. He's the guy that's heading up our college basketball product. If he's feeling good about the overs, I feel good about the overs. I'm just kind of bummed they only let me put 20 on it, man. That's it's not fun, but I'm in.
How much did they let you like on the NFL ones?
I think on NFL they'll let you put up to like 250 on stuff. It looks like
that's not bad.
Yeah.
Spencer S in the chat says, "Is Big T drunk? Am I stuttering my words? I might be. I was excited about that prop. I could be, I guess. I'm gonna be drunk later tonight.
We just got 9 free points on a bet. I mean, I'm feeling good now too. I mean, my 20 is going to go a long way on that. I wanted it to be more than 20, but hey, it's all right. Yeah. So I mean, tons of different things you can do. The one thing I didn't know, I'm new to the site. I just signed up with this promo was. You can do like first half stuff too. If you go to the games, I didn't know you could do first half only. So if you're on the main screen for new games, you can change full game to first half. I don't know if anything stands out. I haven't really looked at this yet. Boom, going through. So yeah, so it looks like it's everything just kind of like cut in half essentially.
Yeah, I like that though, especially if maybe there's a night where you're only going to watch half the game or something too.
Yeah,
it's the more options you can have, the better, without a doubt.
Watch half the watch the first half and then hit the WB. It's what it's all about.
It's all about.
It's what it's all about. All right. Anything else before we get on out of here?
I think that's it. I mean, yeah, we're back tonight too. Usually that Friday show that I do with JSU and Dunkel, we do it on Fridays, but tonight Dunkel had to go to the Lavender Farms or something tomorrow night with his lady. He'll definitely be getting the WB session after that tomorrow night. But that means he's not going to be on the show. So we're doing it tonight this week, Thursday night. After the football game starts, we're going to hop on and talk about the main slate. So hop on and hang out with us and have some drinks or whatever.
Nice. All right. Like I said, I mean, we fell short of the 150, unfortunately. We're at 144, but Mr. Dang did. We'll still honor the piece of gear for Mr. Dang. It was a good comment. Worthy of some
Still
gear.
In there grinding too for
He's
us.
in there grinding for those likes, man. We do appreciate that. We really do. We're still going to give you the gear, even though you fell short and failed. We'll still give you the gear. Not a big deal. Like I said, we got that promo buckets 15% off for life if you do one of the monthly or weekly memberships. And make sure to keep your eyes peeled this weekend. Like I said, we were going to be announcing some big news, most likely tomorrow afternoon at some point. And then we're going to kind of have a rollout this weekend as well, which is associated to the big news. And like I said in the opening, I'm going to say it's probably the biggest news we've had since launch. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'm excited for it. It's going to definitely make our product better. And I'm excited to roll it out for sure. And Sunday is going to be fun when we get our first football slate with the new things going on.
Yes. It's going to be a fun weekend here at Run Pier. So make sure to head on over to the website and check everything out. But we're going to get on out of here for Big T. I'm Hoop. Good luck to everyone tonight in your contest. Stack those giblets.